Well, I think Nita and I flipped a coin to see who was going to speak today. So we decided we would share the responsibility this morning, and she's done a great job so far. I hope I can do as well in her footsteps. I can hardly believe we're in October already after the terrible winter we had last year and all the snow and the ice. We were so joyful to have such a beautiful summer to enjoy, and I just hate to see that faded away. Even though I love fall and I love the colors, and they're like on my color wheel, with all the autumn shades. But anyway, it's certainly here. It's in the air. We can feel the chill, and when we go into the stores, all the Halloween things are in the aisle, the candy's on sale, so if that's something you like to nibble on, this is the good time to stock up. And I remember as a kid the excitement I had when this time of the year would roll around. And in my house in those days, you didn't go into the store and buy a costume. You went up into the attic and you crawled through all the boxes and you looked for the ones that had the old wigs and the smelly masks and the skirts that looked like something Lucille Ball would wear in one of her little episodes, and the necklaces. Oh, if we got to be a gypsy, we got to raid the jewelry box, and that was such a big deal, and we had rings on all our fingers, and we just loved that time of the year. And that wasn't the only part we enjoyed. Then we had to scout around and see who in the neighborhood would have a party, and then we'd dig out the orange and the black crepe papers, and we would twist them, and we would make little bubbles in the crepe paper and hang them up, and someone would write a little ghost story, and then we'd hang up, paper skeletons, and out in the front yard we might put up little cardboard leaning signs, and we'd put R.I.P., rest in peace. We thought that was such a big deal to have such a spooky time to walk through the neighborhood and scare everybody. Sort of reminds me of a little story where these two boys were standing out in the narthex one day, and one of them spotted a sign on the wall, similar to what we have here in memory of, but it said D.I.S., died in service, and there were a bunch of veterans' names that were listed on the plaque. And the boys were kind of confused, and they saw the pastor, who was going through the narthex at this point and trying to get everybody into the service to begin the service. And they said, "Pastor, what does that sign mean over there?" And he said, "Not now, boys. We got to start the service." So he says, "Talk to me after the service and I'll explain it to you." So during the service, the pastor noticed these boys, and they were so well behaved. There wasn't a peep out of them. And he thought, my goodness, this is a change from the usual squirming and, little chit-chatting that goes on in the back corner, and the crayons dropping on the floor and so forth and so on. So after the service, the pastor immediately went up to the boys to kind of pat them on the back and tell them what a joy it was to have them at the service, and that they were so well behaved. And the boys go, "But yeah, Pastor, we want to know, what does that died in service mean? Did they die at the 9 o'clock service or the 6 p.m. service?" So I have to say that I guess our behavior is a reflection of our attitudes, right? And our attitude is a reflection of our life. Sometimes we wonder what people are thinking of us when we're among them, or even more so when we're apart from them. I wonder what so-and-so thought of my dress today, or I wonder if that guy, thinks I'm cute, or whatever. We're thinking what other people are thinking about us, and you know what? The truth is they're probably not thinking about us at all. But anyway, do we ever wonder what they will think about us after we pass and we're no longer here? Have you ever read some of those unusual epitaphs that are found in the graveyards? And here are a few. "Here lies Johnny Yeast. Pardon me for not rising. Here lies an atheist, all dressed up and no place to go. Here lies Lester Moore. 4 slugs from a 44. No less, no more. Remember, man, as you walk by, as you are now, so once was I. As I am now, so shall you be. Remember this and follow me." To which someone replied underneath, "To follow you, I'll not consent until I know which way you went." In memory of Bees of Wood, here lies one wood enclosed in wood. one wood within another. The outer wood is very good. We cannot praise the other. And here's one of my favorites. Hi, thanks for stopping by. What do you think that person was like who had that written on their gravestone? I'd think that person had an attitude of gratitude. A person who enjoyed other people and who might have had a circle of family and friends that he enjoyed, and he probably enjoyed this life and was looking forward to enjoying the next life. Tuesday night, a few of us women met at the church to read and discuss the scriptures for this week's service. Before the meeting, I was looking for a book on my bookshelf because prior to that, Nita and I had a little discussion about who was going to preach today, and she had an idea, and I thought I might have a book to go along with that idea. And I didn't find it, but I did notice that on that shelf was a Bible that my daughter had given to me recently, and I grabbed it up and took it with me because we were going to study Bible verses. And it's an amplified version of the Bible with commentaries by Joyce Meyer. And I just want to read to you again an excerpt from what was already shared with you this morning. This is from our reading in Philippians 4. In verse 2 it says, I entreat and advise Euodia, and I entreat and advise Syntyche to agree and to work in harmony in the Lord. Verse 3, and I exhort you too, genuine yokefellow, help these women to keep on cooperating. And this is what Joyce Meyer provided as the commentary to that reading. Have you ever thought what it would be like it to be mentioned in the Bible? Wouldn't that be a kind of a neat thing to have your name in the Bible? Imagine being known in God's word as Euodia and Syntyche are in Philippians 4, 2, and 3 for arguing. Would you want to be in the Bible for arguing? When you disagree with others, ask God to give you a gracious spirit and do all you can to resolve conflicts when they happen. Gratitude has the same root word as grace. A gracious spirit is a reflection of your attitude. When we continue on in today's reading to verse 4, it says, rejoice in the Lord always. Delight in him. Let all men know and perceive and recognize your unselfish, considerate, and forbearing spirit. Do not fret. Do not be anxious about anything, and in everything pray and petition with thanksgiving, and God's peace shall be yours. In the same light, the word thanksgiving has the same root as the word think. In the Old Testament reading today from Psalms 106, God petitions us to give thanks to him, for he is good. So we should think and thank always. We live in precarious times where there is rumors of war and famine and illness and poverty. And today we prayed about the Ebola virus and the enterovirus. They're here and they need to be dealt with. We can read and have access to all things good and evil right at our fingertips and in the privacy of our own homes just by logging in www. And these are all reasons to not feel grateful when we are bombarded with all these negative things that are happening in our world today. But God, whose mercy and loving kindness endure forever, has a plan to conquer all. And here's an example of his overcoming for his name's sake. During World War II, Corrie ten Boom and her sister Betsy were imprisoned at Ravensbrück camp for harboring Jewish people in their home. And as told in her book, The Hiding Place, Corrie tells of an incident that taught her a lesson about giving thanks for all things. The crowded barracks where the sisters were staying was infested with lice and fleas. And one day, while reading this small, smuggled Bible, the verse shared was from 1 Thessalonians, reminding God's people to rejoice in all things. It would have been so easy to overlook that verse considering the adversity they were under and the times they were living in. Thinking maybe it wasn't meant for them because they were enduring those hardships. But Betsy reminded her sister Corey of God's enduring love. And she said, Corey, we've got to give thanks for these barracks and even for the lice and fleas. It took some persuasion for Corey to realize that Betsy was right. They began to thank God, and it came to pass that as the lice and fleas continued to overrun the barracks, they found that they were left unsupervised, and they could conduct their Bible studies, pray, and talk openly about their love for God. God didn't change their physical situation, but he did change their faith situation. Can you guess why they were left unsupervised in their barracks? It was because of those darn fleas. Let's face it, we all have bah humbug moments. Moments when we feel sorry for ourselves and our circumstances. No matter what you may be facing, whether it's financial hardship or disappointment in yourself or disappointment in others, feelings of despair or discomfort, illness, discouragement, dismemberment, whatever it is, know that your love for God and his love for you can work for good when you lay your burdens upon him and thank him for how he is going to use your circumstances to show his grace and strengthen your faith. Then you will truly be able to show an attitude of gratitude as you feel his peace that passes all understanding. I'm going to digress a little bit here. I just want to put it out that this year I hope to be one of the early ones in getting my Christmas cards out. I have a way of postponing and putting off writing my little Christmas letter and getting everything posted. If it wasn't for Bill, we probably wouldn't get it done at all. But I have a niece that I think that I believe the day after Thanksgiving I get her Christmas card in the mail. She does them way before Thanksgiving, and she's just ready to put them in that mailbox the day before Thanksgiving. And usually a day or two, later, that card arrives and it's like the first one. And I enjoy those cards that I get. And I think we all do, because it's just a reminder that we have family and friends that care about us and they want to share in the good news of the Lord's birth. And sometimes I'll even get a card that'll say, peace on earth, goodwill to men. Well, dear friends, if everyone had God's peace, the peace that passes all understanding, from an attitude of gratitude, then the world would have peace. And it all begins with our attitude, your attitude and my attitude, don't you agree? My mom has a piece of paper hanging in her bedroom about attitude. She talks about this quote as having been an important part of her sharing with Miles. It is written by Charles Swindoll, and this is what it says. The longer I live, the more I realize the impact of attitude on life. Attitude to me is more important than facts. It is more important than the past, than education, than money, than circumstances, than failure, than successes, than what other people think or say or do. It is more important than appearance, giftedness, or skill. It will make or break a company, a church, a home. The remarkable thing is we have a choice every day regarding the attitude we will embrace for that day. We cannot change our past. We cannot change the fact that people will act in a certain way. We cannot change the inevitable. The only thing we can do is play on the one string we have, and that is our attitude. I am convinced that life is 10% what happens to me and 90% of how I react to it. And so it is with you. We are in charge of our attitudes. God calls us to fear not, forgive others, trust in him, be a reflection of his light and love. So let us go into the world today and be thankful for all things with an attitude of gratitude. Thank you. Now we will will sing hymn number 172, Let There Be Peace on Earth, and during this time we'll have our second offering, change offering for our pastor's discretionary fund.